Welcome, everybody, to the Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. I'm Will. I'm here with Brandon. How's it going, Brandon?
Good, bro. I'm doing so great. Today was a really good day.
Indeed, it was. So, today we're here with a special guest, Narcolepsy Boy 94 on TikTok, aka Malik. Malik, how's it going?
It's going all right, man. What's going on? Sorry, my camera's not working. I'm trying to figure that out right now in the process, but
Nah, it's
doing
fine.
good. Yeah, doing good.
So, I'm sure a lot of the community knows who you are, but for those who don't, just share a little bit about yourself, what you do in the IWC. Just give the audience a little bit of background on yourself.
Uh, for people who don't know me, I'm a content creator for wrestling. So TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, all that's Twitter too. Mostly, my biggest fan base mostly on TikTok though. I do all wrestling content, wrestling related. Got into it about a year ago and got pretty big. So that's all I pretty much do, man. It's just wrestling content, for TikTok and all that stuff. Trying to get into other platforms too. Trying to grow like Twitch and everything, but that's in the process. But mainly people who don't know TikTok, Narcolepsy Boy 94 on all social media platforms. But for the people who may have seen me following, appreciate the follow, appreciate the support. For people who are new in the future, I also appreciate the support too. It means a lot.
For
Yeah, so
sure, for
we'll
sure.
drop his links down in the description. Make sure you go give him a follow. Interact with his content. It's always good. So today we're gonna run through a series of interview questions we came up with. We're gonna kind of, you know, give you a little bit of an interrogation. See what some of your opinions are. Um, See where your head's at in some of the topics on the wrestling world today. So, Brandon, I'll have you start. Go ahead and give a question to Malik.
Okay, Malik. So, what made you realize you wanted to start, being a content creator for wrestling? Especially on TikTok, since it's like a whole dance thing, and yeah.
Yeah, I kind of started to get into it last year when Corona came out.
Mm.
Just kind of messed around with it. Then it started to grow, and the more it started to grow, people would just message me and say they like my stuff, or like they got into wrestling TikTok because of me, or like I inspired them, or something like stuff like that. So I just kept doing it. It
Right.
seemed like people were
Yeah.
enjoying it, so I started doing more, and I like it. I like it. I like doing the content for people. I like making content about wrestling because wrestling's it's been a love for mine for years. So I love talking
Yeah.
about it. I love interacting with people. I've met a lot of good people on the app. Some new friends that I've met from all around the world. Some wrestlers too that I've met and stuff. So it's cool to see how social media can work. Where you can expand and see how many people really love wrestling. Social media is a big thing. It can be toxic and bad, but
Oh
when
yeah.
it's good, it's crazy to see how many fans are really out there like that. It's crazy to see how people can really support your stuff too.
Yeah, definitely. So if you remember your first like really viral video,
Yeah, it
what
was the
was it,
video. It was the
and what was your
video with.
reaction?
It was the Royal Rumble 2005 video when the botch, like when Batista and Cena went over the top rope and then
Mm.
they fell, and then Vince McMahon tore his quad sliding in the ring. That was the first. It had like nine. It had like 9 million or something like that. Um,
Wow.
it was
What
pretty
was
cool
your
to see it go
reaction?
viral. It was pretty cool. Like I didn't expect it to go viral. Honestly, I didn't think anything of it. Like it was just something I just posted just because I was watching the match, and it was just funny to see that moment happen. But it was cool to see it got like Bleacher Report shared it, and like other platforms shared it too. What I mean, it was crazy to see like it go like funny videos. It was crazy to see it go viral like that. I was like, oh my god, that's when my page really started to blow up like heavily.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what wrestling moment influenced you the most as a young wrestling fan? Basically, as a kid.
A moment. Honestly, I don't know if there was a moment. It was growing up as a kid. It was really just John Cena. Like there wasn't even a moment. It was just him in general.
Yeah.
So, like Eddie Guerrero was the first wrestler that got me into wrestling when I first started watching. Like his whole gimmick and everything, the lie, cheating, stealing stuff. I thought he did was so funny. And then the low riders and stuff like that he would come out on. I used to know somebody who used to own some low riders, so as a kid, like I used to love those things. So
Yeah.
that also gravitated me towards him. But there wasn't like really a moment that gravitated me towards wrestling. I think it was more of just the superstars that I just like, The Undertaker and Cena, Guerrero, and Shawn Michaels was around, and it was more of just the superstars that the characters and everything, Kurt Angle, and it's just the people that were just there. Um, so I would say more of the superstars. It definitely John Cena was the biggest influence though.
Right, and with you growing up during that era, there had to be some great matches that you always remember as your favorites. But if you had to pick one match that was your favorite of all time, what match would that be
Growing up as a kid or just like in general?
in general?
Definitely Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25 for
Yeah,
sure.
that's a classic.
That's probably the greatest match I've ever seen in my life.
Definitely.
And I've seen a lot of matches, but that one,
Yeah.
that one would be up there. I would say Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, WrestleMania 25, and I would also say, man, there's been a lot of good matches too, man. I've seen a lot of good matches. I would probably also say Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. That's
Yeah.
up there.
Where would Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole at Takeover New York rank on your list?
I don't know. I probably wouldn't have it in my 10 personally, to be honest. I mean, it was a great match, but I've seen a lot of good matches that I would probably prefer over that one.
Okay.
NXT wise, though, like NXT wise, that's top three.
Yeah.
That's actually number two for me. The only match that to me still was better for Takeover wise was Sasha and Bailey at Takeover Brooklyn. Personally, for me, that's still the best one to me. But
Okay.
Cole and Gargano, you talking about when? I'm assuming you mean when Gargano won the title.
Yeah.
That was that's top three first NXT wise.
Okay.
Okay,
Brandon.
so let's try to think about wrestling before the pandemic hit, because obviously we're back in front of fans now, but a lot of things still aren't the same. So, is there like a certain thing about wrestling pre-pandemic that you miss?
Pre-pandemic, shoot, there's a lot of things I miss from my era. I miss blood. I miss violence. I miss edgier content.
Yeah.
The PG stuff didn't bother me at first, but it still doesn't bother me. Wrestling will change and evolve always, but I miss some of the stuff that I miss seeing like blood and matches and the little bit of more violent content because it made it feel more real to me to an extent growing up. You know what I mean? Like watching as a kid when you would see somebody get busted open and you see somebody go through flaming tables or something like that. Like it's just shit that's just like holy like it makes it feel like more intense. You know what I mean? I like stuff like that. So I would say stuff. I would say stuff like that, especially more the edgier content. I feel like I get the PG stuff from WWE. I get it, but I feel like we're now with AEW being around and everything. I kind of hope they kind of go switch back maybe to a little bit more edgier stuff. You know what I mean? Because I feel like when WWE was at the edgier content, whether it was Attitude Era or with this Aggression Era, that's when they put on some of their best stuff. So that's what I miss from it.
For sure. So on this
Will,
channel, we
Will,
have a. You know what, Brandon? We'll save this one for the end. I want to do this one at the end.
yeah, make sure you list all his future accolades too.
Yeah, I will. All right. So
Okay.
we're gonna put that one at the end. You're really gonna like that one. But this one, um, you know, you have a big following. So has there ever been a moment in public where a fan of yours has or a follower of yours has ever come up to you and recognized you in public and asked for a picture, an autograph, or something like that?
Yeah, when I went to Extreme Rules, when I was leaving the show, some kid. I don't know how old he was, but it was some kid. He knew who I was, and he came up to me and told me I was his favorite content creator. He asked me for a picture and stuff. That was back in
Wow.
September, I believe.
How does
Yeah.
that feel?
It's weird. I mean, I'm nobody special, to me. I'm just an average dude, but it's cool to see stuff like that though. Like it's cool to see people that really enjoy your stuff and support you like that. It's a cool thing to see. Like I'm not a big celebrity or anything, so I'm not like a celebrity who's had many interactions with many people. You know what I mean? But just to see that from TikTok, it's pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely.
Okay, so yeah, like you just said, you mentioned you went to Extreme Rules. So I don't know if you've been to any other events before, but if you have, what is your favorite live wrestling event that you've been to?
Oh, that's easy. The TNA Lockdown 2011, best show I've
Mm.
ever seen in my life. It was
Oh wow.
Kurt Angle faced Jeff Jarrett that night. I remember Sting faced Rob Van Dam and Mr. Anderson. That was the Immortal versus Fortune match. That's when AJ Styles came back at the end. That's probably the best show I've seen live. As far as like moments, I was there the night Seth turned on the Shield. That was crazy. That's like moment
Wow.
wise.
Wow.
As far as moments like shocking and like unexpected, like where you left like and all of that, that's number one. But as far as like the whole show, it was the TNA lockdown.
So when Seth turned on the Shield, what was your like immediate reaction inside of that arena?
Well, everybody was shocked because nobody really saw it coming. Because the night before they didn't beat Evolution. You know what I mean? So it's like they were stronger than ever at that point. So
Yeah.
to see them break up like right after that, it was pretty. It's one of the most shocking things WWE ever did. I'll give them that. It was a big swerve that nobody saw coming because usually you kind of see how people are gonna break up and stuff like that, but like they were literally stronger than ever at that point. You know what I mean? Like they just beat the Evolution twice, and for them to for Seth to break up the group like that, it was definitely unexpected. Nobody saw it coming.
For sure. And you talk about like shocking moments like that, like genuine shock, like you had no idea what was going to happen. What was the last wrestling moment like after that or the most recent wrestling moment where you felt genuine 100% shock?
Probably when the streak ended.
Yeah.
When Brock took the streak, that's everybody's reaction. Nobody really. I don't think anybody really thought the streak would ever end. So to see it end was it's by far the most shocking thing. Let me see if I can. For shock value moments, I would probably say. I would say this one, and it's not even a good shocking moment. It's when it's that fucking Hell in a Cell match. I'll never understand when they
Oh,
made
yeah.
Seth Rollins beat the Fiend or when Seth Rollins got disqualified for using that sledgehammer. That was shocking to me because like it's a Hell in a Cell match, bro. It's the whole concept of the match, bro.
Yeah.
It would never make sense to me. It's a Hell in a Cell match. Anything goes. So I was
Yeah.
shocked more over the fact that they even made that booking decision. Like, are you like that's literally a booking decision that they sat down and talked about and agreed on? Like, I can't believe that.
Oh, yeah. I find
As far as
myself
like
in
as far as being like super shocked though, I would say when the streak ended though. Like that,
definitely.
yeah, that one right there.
Yeah, you'll see on the podcast there's a lot of times where me and Brandon will sit here and talk about how we don't we don't have any idea of how some things got out of that creative room. So we know the feeling.
Yeah.
So we're pretty young content creators. Like we're new to this. So what tip would you give other content creators like us who are just getting started?
Definitely be consistent with your stuff. That's number one. You got to be consistent. Can't fall off. Even if you're busy, you got to make time. Like I work, I work 5 days a week, but I still, make time for my platforms. You got to find a way to make time. Got to be consistent. That's the only way you're gonna grow if you want to become a content creator. Like if you're really trying to make a thing and trying to make money off it and trying to make it a living, you got to be as consistent as you can be. People always say, "Well, I don't have time for this." You have to make time because you make time. That adds up more to your fan base, and then next thing you know, this is your job now. You ain't got to worry about the job you work for the 9 to 5. You can quit that job, and now you can do this, and it's something you can number one enjoy doing, and it's something it's flexible. You know what I mean? So I would say just be consistent, man, and consistency and creative. Come up with ideas. Always. Anytime you have an idea, write it. I always write down in the notes on my phone. Anytime I have an idea, I put it down in my notes on my phone so I don't forget it and come back to it. Just be creative with whether excuse me, you guys want to do a podcast, be creative with topics, come up with different topics, come up with different platform ideas. That's why, on my stuff, I do the Jeopardies, I do the drafts, I do just regular podcasts, I do Q&As, I do gaming stuff, what I'm saying? You got to be different with certain things, and people will message you and say, they ask about this, they want to see that. Well, just make it a rotation. So I would say consistency and creativity, man. Those would probably be at the top, especially consistency, bro. You got to be really consistent with your platforms, You don't want to fall off because if you fall off, that's how you lose followers. It's how people forget about you. So you don't want to be inconsistent. You want to be as consistent as you can be.
Definitely.
It may take time to grow too. Like, don't think it'll happen overnight either. Like,
Oh yeah.
it may,
Yeah.
it could take a long time for some people. Like for me, it just happened that one video just blew up and it happened to help me out tremendously. But before that, I was posting for a little bit here and there. I wouldn't get no clout, no followers, nothing like that. You know what I mean? So I would just say you got to be patient too. You got to really be patient. Some people have the tendency to they message me and say well, I've done this and it's not working. You just got to be patient, man. You just got to be patient. It takes time for some people. It's not gonna happen overnight. I know it's not people want it to be. Like you just want to post one video and go viral and you just be like out. You know what I mean? But it don't work like that.
Definitely.
Okay, so Malik, if you could have dinner with any wrestler in history, who would it be and why?
John Cena. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. So it would easily be John Cena. The meet one of my childhood idols. There's only two people I looked up to when I was a kid. That like I wanted to be like John Cena and Kobe Bryant. And unfortunately, I can never meet Kobe because he's passed now. So
Yeah,
John Cena would easily, man. I mean, there are other ones too, like The Rock, Undertaker. It would be cool to sit down with those guys too. But it would just be John Cena. Just the fact to meet John Cena and just to be around him. There's so many questions I want to ask him about the business and everything. So I would say Cena.
yeah. Uh, not a lot of people know, but your content creator name has a deeper meaning to it than a lot of people think. So could you, if you don't mind, could you care explaining about, your experience with, with narcolepsy and, how that went down and, how you came out of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy. I mean, some people ask me all the time, do I really have narcolepsy? Yes, I have narcolepsy. It's a sleeping disorder. Pretty much the opposite of insomnia. Insomnia is people who have trouble sleeping. Mine's just the opposite. I get excessively more tired than like you or Will would. It's just I get a little bit more tired. I can fall asleep randomly at times, not like while walking or being active, but like if I'm sitting in a chair or playing a game, or maybe sometimes sitting down eating or just chilling. I may fall asleep, here and there quite often. I just get a little bit more tired. But I've had it since I was 14, for about 10 years now. Um, it's nothing crazy. There are pros and cons that come with it. Um, I can't drive, so I don't have a license, because of it, because I could fall asleep while driving. It's an endangerment that I'm not allowed to do. Um, also developed like really bad anxiety after that for a little bit with certain things. I also have this thing called cataplexy too. It's like a muscle weakness thing. It's weird. I also have hallucinations too. So like sometimes I like hallucinate. Sometimes like I see something that's not really there or something like that. Something weird. Like pop up. But that's pretty much it though, man. The only good part about it, honestly, is really that you can just fall asleep whenever. Like when I was still in school, high school, I had
Yeah.
to get up at 7 o'clock. Well, school started at 8 o'clock for me in the morning, but I can go to sleep around 4 o'clock to be asleep, whenever. So I didn't have to worry about what time I had to go to bed because I knew I could fall asleep anytime I wanted to. So the same thing with work. I can really much go to sleep anytime I want. So that's really the only good part about it. But there are a lot of bad things about it though, man. It makes you excessively lazy. It makes you. I was already lazy before, honestly, beforehand, but now I'm even more lazy. Like you don't want to do things. Especially when you're laying down in bed, it's hard to get up sometimes because you're so tired. You're like your whole body. It's not just like when you fall asleep, you're tired. It's like your whole body gets tired. Like your muscles get tired. Like everything gets tired. So like you're just like you just don't want to move. You don't want to do anything. But you have to find energy to get yourself up and move around. Once you start moving around, though, you're wide awake, and it's not a big deal. But yeah, I've had narcolepsy for about 10 years now. So if people do ask me though, do I really have narcolepsy? I do have it.
For sure. Thank you for elaborating on that. That was very insightful as to what narcolepsy is. So
Yeah, I mean, people can Google it. If it's more depth into it, if you want to know about it, you can Google it. It'll show you some things about it and everything. But it's basically just a sleeping disorder. Just I get a little bit more tired than an average person would. So that's about what it is.
definitely, definitely. So our last interview question. I need I need your opinion on one man. Okay. See, here on this
Uh-huh.
channel, there is one man that we idolize more than anybody else to walk this planet. He is a future 17-time world champion. He's the man that will dethrone Roman Reigns, and he will take his place in the WWE Hall of Fame very, very soon. We need your opinion on the almighty Veer Mahan.
Veer Mahan. So You think Veer Mahan's going to be 17-time champion and dethrone? First off, Veer Mahan is not even. He's on Raw, isn't he? He's not even on SmackDown.
Veer
Yeah,
Mahan,
but
that come on, man, that really doesn't matter. Veer Mahan is the greatest wrestler of all time. I mean, are we
oh,
really doubting the almighty Veer Mahan?
Well, first off, the greatest of all time would be Jonathan Coachman. Coach is by far the goat of all goats. So can't give me that one, man. The goat. Veer Mahan, I don't even know if he make my top 10. You got Eugene and you got Coach up there. I mean, there's Gobbledygooker. There's a lot of good ones out there. I don't know if I can put.
Can't forget about the
I don't know
gook.
I don't know if I can put Veer Mahan up there, man. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can put him up there yet. I haven't seen what he can do yet, though. I haven't seen what he can do on TV yet. So
Make,
we'll
make
have to
sure
wait
to
and
watch.
see.
Make sure to watch the main event of WrestleMania this year: Omos versus Veer Mahan. It's happening.
classic.
Main event of
Uh,
WrestleMania.
I don't know. I heard it was supposed to be Eugene and Coach, so that's what I heard. But I mean, Veer Mahan
Hey,
and
there's two
Omos, so.
nights. There's 2 nights.
That is true. That is true. Now you're right.
2 nights.
I'll be there too at WrestleMania. So if I see Coach, just know I'm gonna be the only one cheering. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's gonna hit, and you're gonna be, yeah, coach, and everybody else is gonna be dead silent. But when that Veer Mahan entrance music happens, loudest pop since Punk. So keep that in mind.
Just know he's coming. He's coming.
Just know he has arrived from India, and he is competing on main event. Make sure to watch him on main event this week. Watch him further bury Dominic Dijakovic. But yeah, Veer Mahan is the greatest of all time.
I don't know about Veer Mahan, man. I don't know if I can put him up there yet. I gotta see what he can do first. I don't know if I can put him up there. It's hard to put him in GOAT stats. So I don't know if I can put him in the GOAT stats.
Understandable.
He'll prove himself soon enough. So now that we got through our interview questions, we're gonna just kind of pick your brain a little bit about the wrestling world today. So Brandon, I'll let you go first. What would you like Malik to elaborate on, opinion wise?
I think the first one to automatically go to is just, the two biggest, wrestling promotions going on right now, which is WWE and AEW. So if if you could give a rundown on what you think, what company is better at doing than the other, and vice versa when it comes to different things, when it comes to booking,
and cons.
productions, like pros and cons of AEW and WWE.
Well, as far as production wise, that's always going to be WWE. Promo packages, pyro, setups, light. That's
Beaver
WWE.
goes to work.
That's WWE by far. Also, when it comes to being more global, that's WWE. Sponsor deals, being recognized by ESPN, SportsCenter, all the big sports networks. WrestleMania, the biggest wrestling show of the year, every year sells out with thousands and thousands of people from all across the world. WWE's got that on lock. Long-term booking would be AEW. They're very good at long-term booking, which I really like because I'm a big fan of long-term booking, and I really like that AEW is focused on that a lot. I wish WWE would do that more. But we live in an era too where fans don't really have a lot of patience for that stuff anymore. Long-term booking it's kind of hard to do too because fans can be hypocrites and biased about it because they want somebody to feud, but then 3 weeks later they want the feud to end and move on. You know what I mean? Like people think just because they have one match, the feud has to be over with. You know what I mean? Like that's not how storytelling is working. That's not how it works. Some of the best stories we've ever seen in wrestling were long-term booking storylines. The Mega Powers, Hulk Hogan and Macho Man. That was long-term booking. That was one of the best stories of all time. Undertaker and Kane, Randy Orton, Undertaker was long-term booking. John Cena and Edge was long-term booking for years. So CM Punk and Cena, there's so many. Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, greatest feud in NXT history. That was long-term booking. So. Long-term booking is what I really love about AEW. I also love that they're also giving superstars options, as far as when it comes to platforms, like, hey, you can make just as much money here in AEW and be utilized more on a big stage, because not everybody's gonna make it in WWE. Not everybody's gonna be utilized the way people want them to be utilized. Somebody like Ricochet, who was Prince Puma and Lucha Underground, did great stuff in Ring of Honor and all that stuff. Great on the indies, but just WWE wise, he's not the WWE guy they look for. So somebody like AEW could be a really good fit for him. But you look at somebody like Bryan Danielson, had a great career in AEW. I mean, great career in WWE. Phenomenal career, was pushed really good. but decided to leave just because AEW is doing something that gravitates him more. So not everybody's gonna make it in WWE. Not saying everybody can make it in AEW, but you probably have a better chance of at least being on the show and at least being involved in something than you would in WWE. So that's also what I like about AEW more than WWE. I also with the one thing about AEW that hurts is the women's division. They need to utilize the women more. They have a lot of good talent in the women's division, but they don't utilize the women's division as much as WWE does. WWE usually sticks around the same people. Sasha Bailey, well sometimes Bailey, can't even say Bailey all the time because Bailey will be getting pushed, and then as soon as she's not pushed, she's doing nothing. So Sasha, Becky, and Charlotte are the main three, but they're starting to focus on a lot more people now. You see Tony Storm doing something with Charlotte. Bianca Belair was champion. She did her thing. You still got Shayna Baszler there. You got Naomi, and you got a lot of other people too. So the women's division, I would say the women I think have better matches in WWE, and I think they are given more time to do things as well. AEW, I think they need to utilize the women's division a lot better. The one thing that WWE needs to do better that AEW does is tag teams. AEW does really good with their tag team division. WWE is terrible at booking their tag team division, so that's something they need to work on as well.
All good points. Which company are you enjoying more right now? From a week to week, um, edition to edition, show to show basis.
Honestly, it's really kind of equally, man. I'm just a wrestling fan. I like a little bit of everything. So I've never been that type of guy who's like I don't enjoy what's going on like with this company. I want to stop watching them. You know what I mean? Like I'll never stop watching WWE. I'll never stop watching AEW. New Japan. I like wrestling, so I like checking everything out. I like different things that go on. I may not like certain things that go on within the company, like certain storylines that I may not care about, but there's always something that I may like. Like I may not care about what they're doing with Shinsuke Nakamura in the Intercontinental Championship just because they're not doing anything with him. You know what I mean? But Roman Reigns, everything he's doing is good, so I like what he's doing. I watch it. I pay attention to it. I follow it. The same, last year, some people weren't into the feud between Randy Orton and the Fiend. That was my favorite feud on Raw for a period of time. I kept up with everything they were doing on Raw. I was into that storyline, but I didn't really care, what they were doing, with Drew McIntyre in the WWE Championship. I felt like they weren't really booking him as a really good champion, so I didn't really care too much about that. But there's always something that with AEW too. Like I like a lot of things in AEW. Like I said, the women's division is something that I'm not really into, just because they're not really bringing me. They're not really doing anything that's pulling me in to be gravitated towards women's division. You know what I mean? Like there's not really something that's there that's pulling me in to be invested into. But with AEW, we just saw Kyle O'Reilly show up yesterday, and they kind of teasing maybe the Elite versus the Undisputed Era. That's something that's already got my attention. Brian Danielson and Hangman, that's got my attention. Maybe Kenny Omega will be involved in that as well. CM Punk and MJF, that's got my attention. There's a lot of things in AEW that's got my attention as well too. So there's things that would just when it comes to wrestling, there are things you're gonna like and not like. That's what I think wrestling fans have to understand. Like you can't please every wrestling fan. There's so many people around the world that's not gonna like everything. So just because you may not like this or you may not like that, doesn't mean other people don't.
Right.
If you look at, you can use John Cena to that example. Just because he was the top guy and he was booed for a long time and people wanted him to turn into a bad guy. Well, I guess there's a lot of people out there who don't. There's a lot of people out there who like him the way he is. You know what I mean? So not everything needs to be changed uh, for the better or for the good. So I just feel like with a lot of fans, you got to be open minded, man. There's a lot of wrestling out there to watch. Some people, for some reason, feel like they have to be one sided. Like people will ask me, like, you like AEW or WWE better, or are you team WWE or team AEW? I'm team wrestling. I like wrestling, so I like it the most. And there's no like pick or choose for me. Like I'll go to an AEW show if they come out here. I'll go to a WWE show. I'm going to WrestleMania next year. If AEW has a pay per view close to my venue or a pay per view that is big enough that I want to go to, I'll go to that. So I like wrestling. I go to local indie shows around my area that got like 30 people in the crowd type thing. You know what I mean? So um, I just enjoy wrestling as a whole. Like I said, there will be things that you like. There are always things that will be on that I may not care about, but there's always going to be something that I probably wouldn't be invested into that keep me in. So
Yeah. I feel like if everybody had the same mindset as you, the wrestling world would be a little bit more peaceful, I guess you can say.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put a little bit of a tough question on you.
Mm.
Peak NXT, like prime, perfection NXT, or modern AEW? What would you say is more interesting, and what do you like better?
Prime NXT.
Yeah, I think 99 out of 100 people will agree there. What
AEW,
was
I mean, AEW doing great stuff, but no, go ahead, go ahead.
what was it about Prime NXT that sets it apart from anything else?
Prime NXT did everything perfect. Their booking was tremendous. Everybody on the show felt important. Everybody had a spot. Uh, all the matches felt important. You know, when it came to Takeover, never a bad Takeover. There's never been a
Mm-hmm.
bad NXT Takeover. There may have been a Takeover that weren't better than others, but there never was a Takeover where I stopped where after the show I felt disappointed. I felt like every Takeover was amazing. And with Takeover, honestly, you never knew what match could be the best match. The women's match could be the best match in the
Hmm.
tag team match. It could be the main event. It could be a match without a championship. You never knew. So everything NXT just did so much good booking, man. When it came to superstars, to mid carders, to women, to tag team, like the whole show around was really really good. And I like the 2.0 stuff. You know, there are some people that I really like. I love Braun Breaker. He's definitely my favorite in the 2.0 era. I definitely think he has a big future. You know, Carmelo Hayes, I like him. You know, Cameron Grimes, LA Knight. You know, I like those guys. MSK, Grizzled Young Veterans. You know, the Grizzled Young Veterans actually been one of my favorite tag teams in NXT for a minute. I kind of hope they get the
Mm-hmm.
tag team title push eventually. You know, Pete Dunne been one of my favorites for a minute, man. Pete Dunne's been. I'm waiting for him to get his championship push. I've liked him since I saw him in the tournament back at NXT UK when he was fought Tyler Bate in the main event for the finals. So you know, I like a lot of things about NXT 2.0, but you know, the Black and Gold NXT was fucking goated. Like there were so much good things that I really loved about that. You know, from 2000, you could say that from 2014 all the way up to until the Black and Gold retired. Everything, bro, the Sami Zayn era, and you know the storyline that Sami Zayn had with Neville, you know, for the championship. Then you know Tyler Breeze got involved as Prince Pretty, and then you know, they had the Fatal 4 at Tyson Kidd, and then you know Kevin Owens shows up. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, then you know Shinsuke Nakamura arrives, and Bobby Roode, and you know, Samoa Joe popped up, and it's just yeah. Then they came up with the tag team like the you know the Ascension and the American Alpha and Revival and DIY and AOP like then the women, you know, you had Bailey, Charlotte, Asuka, and Shayna Baszler. It's just Charlotte Flair is crazy. Ember Moon, like I can go on. Like NXT was just putting out such great talent and giving a platform for people to utilize. Like you know, that's if NXT could be the main roster, it would just WWE would just be incredible all around. Like there's nothing you can say bad about it. It's just if the booking was the exact same way, but you know what I also like from NXT too is that from what I saw from NXT and what I've seen, it tells me that whenever Vince McMahon is gone, whenever he passes away, which will be the saddest, I don't care anybody says, it'll be the saddest day in wrestling history. People can say what they
Mm-hmm.
want, but when Vince
100%.
McMahon when Vince McMahon passes away, it's gonna forever be the saddest day in professional wrestling history. But it shows me that when Vince is gone, the company will be in good hands because Triple H has a great mind for the business and his creativity. Guys like Shawn Michaels and Road Dogg and who people are surrounded by him too. Like they have great minds for the business, and they think a little differently than Vince too because they've been performers. You know what I mean? So they've been out there in the ring a lot, so they kind of know things, maybe certain things that Vince you know wouldn't think of, or you know what I mean. So the way Triple H is ran NXT tells me that you know whenever he takes over the company, probably him and Stephanie, maybe Shane, but I definitely think Triple H and Stephanie will take over the company. Whenever they take over the company, it's going to be in good hands.
Good point.
All right, let's turn this into a bit of a conversation, if you will. So you're under the impression that, or your opinion is that Triple H will take over once Vince is done.
I do. I think so. Yeah.
Do you think Triple H is still in charge of NXT right now?
I think he still has pull, but I think Vince is more involved now than he was before. I
Okay,
think that's why
reasonable.
the whole change. I think that's why the whole change 2.0 happened and everything
Reasonable.
changed. I think after AEW beat them in ratings weekly, I think Vince may saw that as a failure or something. So it feels like they
Yep.
had to change it up.
Good
So
point.
that's why the whole change happened. I guarantee you, one of the main reasons that a lot of the people from NXT are leaving because things are changing. Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Gargano, uh,
Adam
probably
Cole.
gonna do Cole's gone. So people are stepping aside. I know Pete Dunne resigned. Um, some other people probably resigned too, but that's why you see guys like a guy like Braun Breaker, like he's about to be the NXT champion. He's been on the roster for a couple of months, and he's really good. But he's somebody that I think Vince looks at as somebody that he wants. You know what I mean? Like he has the wrestling family background. Scott Snyder's nephew, Rick Snyder's son. He's got the football background, played football for him out, and he's picked up it really good. He's picked it up in like a year, and he's already getting pushed to a high level. And he's very athletic. He's very built, good size. You know what I mean? So he's somebody that I think Vince looks at and knows that he wants in his company as one of his guys. So the whole change, I think, and they just signed a bunch of new people, so they don't want to go after independent talent anymore. They want to build up their own talent under the WWE system. So I think Triple H definitely has some pull still there, but it's more different than it was before. I think Vince is more involved now.
Reasonable. Very, very reasonable. So me and Brandon were talking about like the future of NXT, I guess you could say, and one thing we said was now that we are strong believers that Vince McMahon has completely you know taken over NXT, and that really Triple H is just he's using Triple H's creation to skyrocket it to a different planet, like
Right.
um completely changing it, changing the atmosphere, changing the show, and all that. So we're under that impression. So we were talking, and we were saying that as the years go on, and more of these NXT 2.0 guys develop and grow, we don't think that we're gonna have to worry about main roster screw ups because these are all Vince's guys. Like for
Yeah.
example, the day will come when Braun Breaker moves up to the main roster. We don't have to worry
Yeah.
about him getting buried within 3 weeks and losing to Jeff Hardy while holding the NXT Championship because he was built up by Vince. And if it's Vince's guy, he's going to make sure that doesn't happen. So if there is a
Exactly.
plus, we'd have to say from this reband, it's that. So Brandon, now I'll turn it over to you. Go ahead and spark a question here.
Yeah. So keeping on with this NXT thing. So we saw AJ Styles come, this past week, and obviously we saw, when Triple H was still like when it was still in its black and gold days, we obviously still saw the main roster NXT, be involved with each other, with Survivor Series. But now that we have Vince, more in line with the stuff, and we see NXT stars interacting with the main roster. Do you think this could lead to obviously we've been seeing NXT stars come in, it's a surprise entrance in the Royal Rumble. So I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see that this year. But do you think there's a chance that we start seeing maybe Stone Cold being, rumored to be the host for WrestleMania. So maybe we see some NXT stars on the show is in segments. Maybe we get, an NXT match on the maybe kickoff or an NXT involvement like they did a couple years ago with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte. Like, where do you
Hmm.
think you think that's a possibility that we start seeing, NXT, more involved with main roster things?
Possibly. I mean, don't be surprised, and this may be a stretch to some people, but don't be surprised if Braun Breaker has a match at WrestleMania. Like I really think they're high on him like that. I definitely think he'll win the championship at New Year's against Tommaso Ciampa. Maybe have a spot in the Rumble as well. Um, because there were already I've seen stuff that uh, you know, Braun Breaker could maybe do something at WrestleMania with Gable Steveson, who just won the Olympic gold medal because he's supposed to make his debut match at WrestleMania. So like those are two guys that Vince looks at that are going to be the future of his company. Both extremely young, both super athletic. both are just somebody that Vince looks at, I think, and says, you know what, these guys are WWE made. Like, they're WWE talent that I want to be pushed. And I honestly would be into that. Gable Steveson versus Braun Breaker. I mean, it's like a future versus future match right there. That's two guys who you don't know what Gable Steveson can do because you've never seen him wrestle, and Braun Breaker is fresh and new. Some people may not even be familiar with what he can do either. So, like, if they can go out there and put on a great match, that's setting the future up for WWE right there. Saying, hey, we're the future. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna be around here for the future. So, but I definitely think maybe you could see some people from NXT being involved with the main roster stuff more. Because, like I said, if Vince is involved and he's picking the stars that he wants, it's going to be somebody that he may want to use. So I could see something like that happening. Honestly, yeah.
Definitely. So before we let you go, I kind of want to get a feel for what you think of, certain gimmicks and certain acts in wrestling. Firstly, Roman Reigns' Universal title reign. How do you feel about that?
Roman Reigns, I don't care what anybody says, he's the greatest thing going in wrestling right now. People can say what they want. He's carrying the company on his back. Literally. He is the WWE. The only thing about that is that WWE needs to build more superstars around Roman where you can feel like they can match his level a little bit.
Yes.
That's what helped John Cena out a lot. Even though John Cena was the guy, you still had Shawn Michaels, you still had CM Punk, you had The Undertaker, you had Batista, Randy Orton, Edge. You had other guys that were superstars that you could believe that could beat, or not even beat, but just put on good matches that could draw. Roman only has a couple people, right on SmackDown, just Brock and Drew. That's about it. But you have to work on building more superstars around him so that you can help draw money and you can help draw matches where you can get into. Like they do Roman Reigns versus so they do Roman Reigns versus Ricochet. Like Ricochet's great, but Ricochet isn't gonna that's not a match. You know what I mean? Like that's not a pay-per-view match right there. Now Roman versus Seth Rollins, that's a pay-per-view match. Roman versus Drew McIntyre, Roman versus Bobby Lashley, those are pay-per-view matches. But you got to work on building up other superstars. So hopefully you see some of those guys come from NXT. But Roman Reigns, he's carrying shit right now. Like without Roman Reigns in the company, they would be. I'm not gonna say they'd be struggling, but they'd be missing their top guy. And Roman Reigns is literally he's carrying a brand and the company on his back. Like he's for the last year of his championship run has been one of the greatest championship runs I've ever seen. Like literally, like people, get mad because like he doesn't win his matches, because the Usos, help him out. But I'm like, he's a bad guy, bro. Like he's a heel. That's what he's a bad guy. He's not a good guy anymore. Bad guy has been cheating in wrestling for years. Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve, not Stone Cold, Ric Flair and Triple H and Randy Orton, JBL. CM Punk when he was a bad guy, Seth Rollins did it when he was in the Authority. Like people have been cheating for years in wrestling. It's nothing new. It's going to continue to happen because it'll always get that type of reaction where you feel like oh, you had to cheat to win. Well, that's how you're supposed to. That's how it's supposed to look. Of course, it's supposed to be like that. If he didn't cheat, he probably wouldn't have won. So that's why they cheat because they're bad guys. So they can do that. They can get away with stuff like that. So Roman Reigns is important. I feel like is overlooked a lot of times because he's been such a good champion that's so believable. You don't really know who can beat him for the title, and I think that's what makes the championship run so interesting because there were probably many times throughout his championship run where you thought he was going to lose. Some people thought Cena was going to beat him. Some people thought Demon Finn was going to beat him. Some people thought he was going to lose at WrestleMania. I thought he was going to lose at WrestleMania. I thought that was going to be the end of his championship run. Some people thought, some people think he's going to lose to Brock. You know what I mean? But what if he beats Brock again? Like, it makes the championship run, I think, so good because you don't know who's going to beat him. And when that moment comes when he does lose, it's going to feel like a big deal because of how he's been built up. So hopefully whoever beats him, you can help elevate them to superstar. Whether it could be it could be somebody like Drew McIntyre beating him right now could be big for him because Drew McIntyre he's fallen off a little bit, in that top spot because of how they've been booking him. But if he can get him win over Roman, that would instantly put him back up there to the main event picture. Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, even Edge, who's already a legend. Anybody who could beat Roman right now, it would instantly make you feel important. So that's what makes Roman so special right now, and what makes his championship run so great. You haven't seen a champion The last champion that really had a dominant run like this was Hulk Hogan, and that was back in the '80s. John Cena never even had a championship run this long without losing in between. His longest run was 380 days. Roman Reigns has surpassed that. So Roman Reigns right now is incredible. He's absolutely amazing. And I did a video on this, and I'll stand by this statement. By the time Roman Reigns is retired and he's no longer wrestling, he will go down as one of the top 10 greatest WWE superstars to ever step foot in that ring.
Brandon, do you consider that a bold take? I don't.
No, not at all.
Great.
The way he's being pushed right now, I'm not saying wrestling wise, like all around.
Yeah,
I'm saying
yeah.
strictly WWE
Superstar.
superstar. He'll be in
Yeah,
the top 10.
yeah. No, I got you. All right, Brandon. Pose a topic for discussion.
Let's see. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm starting to run out. Since we're talking about Roman, do you have any idea, or if not idea, is there somebody in the back of your head that you would want to beat Roman and be the next Universal Champion?
As far as people who kind of already a little made, maybe either Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins will be the two. As far as building up, like somebody that you could help, Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker, like if you're looking for somebody to help elevate up, like to the future, it would be Braun Breaker. Like Braun Breaker beating Roman would be like when Rock beat Hogan at WrestleMania. You know what I mean? Like that helped elevate The Rock to, even though The Rock was already The Rock, but after he beat Hulk Hogan, like that helped The Rock become a bigger star in wrestling. It's because he beat Hulk Hogan. Like it was Hulk Hogan. It'd be like when John Cena beat Triple H at WrestleMania when he made him tap out. You know what I mean? Like that was big for John Cena's career because even though John Cena was already the WWE champion, he was already being pushed as the guy. Him beating Triple H is Triple H. You know what I mean? So like him beating Triple H and beating Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania was huge too. Like that helped elevate John Cena's career. So that's what that would be like. That would be huge for somebody like Ron Breaker or somebody like Gable Stevenson. Maybe he could be the guy that could, the only Olympic gold medalist that WWE had was Kurt Angle, and he got a monster push when he first came to the company. Some people may not remember, but like he'd been in the company for like 6 or 8 months, and then they put the WWE title on him. So, and Kurt Angle ended up having one of the greatest careers of all time. So, maybe Gable Stevenson is the next Kurt Angle for WWE. Maybe he could be that guy to beat Roman. I don't know, but if I'm gonna pick two guys to help elevate for the future, I would say Gable Stevenson or Braun Breaker. As far as just being anybody as a superstar, I would say Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre. Those would be the two that I'd like to see.
Yeah. I definitely feel like a guy not a lot of people talk about when it comes to building somebody up, to take Roman down. One of the few guys that we've seen actually built up decently since their main roster call up from NXT, I think personally, is Matt Riddle. I think RK Bro is about to part ways, and I think that Randy Orton needs to go back heel, and they need to have a big matchup at Mania. And after Mania, once Riddle gets the win, I think you need to start giving him crazy momentum. Eventually, go to SmackDown, and then eventually get in a rivalry with Reigns, where we see a serious side of Riddle. And I think he could be a great option, to take somebody down because people love Riddle. Kids love Riddle. He's a great babyface to build your company around.
Yeah, Riddle was somebody who grew on me. I wasn't a crazy fan of his in NXT. Like I liked him because he put on good matches, but the character, I don't know, the character wasn't hitting for me. But he's grown on me, man. I really do like him. I like RK Bro, what they're doing.
Yeah,
I like the idea that you have, but I would want to see a little something different. So what I would do is that I would have Orton and Riddle definitely have a match at WrestleMania, but I would still have them be the tag team champion. So it'd be tag team champion versus tag team champion, and it kind of be like a test, like Randy Orton's testing Riddle to see how good he really is. So say like Riddle eliminates Randy from the Royal Rumble. You know what I mean? Like he throws him out. Like, that bothers Randy up. Like that bothers him that he got eliminated by him. So he challenges Riddle to a match. Not saying like out of disrespect, like RKO. I'm saying like you're my tag team partner, but I want to I want to test you. I want to see if you're tough. I want to see how good you can really be because to to team up with me for a while and to move on with this tag team, I need to see if you're gonna be legendary status, like I am. You know what I mean? So I need to see if you can be that legend killer that I once was. So have tag team champion, tag team champion. You could have Riddle say Randy, it's an RKO on Riddle. Looks like it's over. Randy goes for the cover. With his back. He picks up one leg and then his back is like flipped. You know what I mean? And then Riddle rolls him up for like a quick 1, 2, 3. He beats Randy Orton like that. Capitalize on the moment. Then right there, you can start setting up the siege. Where Randy kind of like how it's same thing like the match Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio had at WrestleMania. They were the tag team champions at the time. Eddie Guerrero challenged Rey Mysterio because he wanted to see if he could beat Rey Mysterio. He wanted to know if he was good enough, and he wasn't that night. Rey Mysterio beat him. Then after that, Eddie Guerrero started to go crazy. He imploded, and then he turned on Rey Mysterio, and then you got one of the best feuds of that year. You know what I mean? So I like to see something like that because that's the last time I've seen something like that happen. I think if those two could do together, could do some really good stuff like that together. I think they could put on a really good feud, and really good matches together as well. So I would say Riddle was cool, man. I do like Riddle. I could see Riddle if they build him up right. He could be somebody to go after Reigns. I could see that. I could definitely get behind Riddle.
Yeah, that's definitely an idea I hadn't thought about. Personally for me, the guy I want to beat Roman Reigns is Walter. I don't know how likely
Walter
that
would be
is,
cool.
but I think definitely Walter, in my opinion, is the guy. Final question. All right, so the Royal Rumble's coming up. Um, who do you think wins the Royal Rumble for both the men and the women? And what do you think the two world title matches are going into WrestleMania this year?
No idea who's gonna win the Rumble. I would like to see Finn Balor win. Finn Balor, AJ Styles, the men. I'm so happy AJ Styles is out of this damn tag team now. Thank gosh. Um,
Yeah, we're
not that it
winning on that.
As far as the women, I would like to see Shayna Baszler win. I really want to see her get pushed. I feel
Yeah.
like she could be extremely valuable to the main roster for the men or for the women. So I would say Shayna Baszler for the women. Maybe or Bailey. Bailey came back and won. I love Bailey, so Bailey's
Yeah.
one of my favorite women's wrestlers of all time in my top 5. So I would say Bailey come back, win the Rumble. That would be dope to see. As far as the championship matches for the men's, I definitely think for the Universal title for night 2, that Roman gonna be in the main event night 2. I think it's gonna be Roman versus Brock versus Drew in a triple threat. Uh,
Mhm.
I think Roman's gonna beat Brock at day 1, and then he'll face Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. He'll beat Drew. And the way it'll happen, both guys will probably get screwed. Like the Usos will help Brock lose again. They'll help Drew lose to Roman again too, and then that'll set up both guys vouch for a rematch because they got screwed over. So the triple threat will happen. And the triple threat I think could be super unpredictable as well because those two guys are legit. So like it could be pretty hard one to pick. So I'd say that one. As far as the men's, I would like to see Seth Rollins be the champion. I'd like to see Seth Rollins be the WWE champion going to WrestleMania. And I would like to see another triple threat match between Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, and AJ Styles. I think that would be fucking incredible.
Oh yeah.
Number one, you never had 2 triple threat matches at WrestleMania for the world titles. It's never happened before. And that would be incredible to see. AJ Styles gets back into the world title picture where a lot of people feel like he can be. Finn Balor's now in that picture, and Seth Rollins is also in that picture. Those 3 guys together can't tell me they can't put on a phenomenal match together. And then you have the big money match, which is Brock versus Drew versus Roman. So I think that right there would gravitate a lot of fans to WrestleMania.
Definitely. I think the Brock, Drew, and Roman match is the one that me and Brandon have advocated for on this podcast.
I mean, it's the only match to book. Like it's
Yeah,
if it's not gonna be The Rock, that's the match.
yeah. We've both advocated for that. I think that is the correct way to go. It brings the money and remember if you go back to last year at WrestleMania, you had that triple threat. Nobody really knew who was gonna win. I feel like that there is some unpredictability with this match that we're talking about as well. Um,
Agreed.
Personally, the WWE Championship match I want to see at WrestleMania is AJ Styles and Big E.
I'd be cool with that.
We've talked about on our podcast Breaking the Wall, how I think Bobby Lashley needs to win at day 1 because of the way the match has been built up and the way they've made the other 3 guys look. But I feel like they will keep the title on Big E. And I feel like with the report coming out about AJ Styles getting a significant role in both the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, I feel like we are poised to see an AJ Styles Royal Rumble win, and I feel like eventually we will be getting at WrestleMania Big E versus AJ Styles, and that is where AJ Styles gets the title back, his WWE Championship run again, and
I'd be down for that. I'd like to see that. I'd be cool with that.
so
My
I
thought was
definitely like the triple threat though.
the triple threat. You do the triple threat, and then only because I've heard Big E talk about this match so much, I think it'd be cool for his moment. We'll do Big E versus Goldberg. I've seen him do many interviews where he said that Goldberg was his favorite wrestler as a kid, and the main reason he got into wrestling, and he wants to retire Goldberg. Goldberg has one match left on his contract, so like I don't know how many more matches Goldberg wants to do, but if he doesn't resign and like he puts Big E over, that'd be huge for his career. You know what I mean? So that's something I think would be dope to see right there. Even if Big E wasn't the champion, that would be a big moment for him, and they could still make him relevant to the product too without the title. Like he needs to beat Goldberg, so it would be a big thing.
Yeah, for me to do that match, no title. I never want to see Goldberg even sniff a
No, that
title
would have
ever
to be a
again.
non-title. That would have to be a non-title match. I think it would make it a little bit. It would make it more unpredictable without the title.
Yeah.
Well, you have the triple threat for the championship. The two triple threats right there. Another match I also want to see at WrestleMania, which I think may happen, but I'm not really sure. The two matches actually I really hoping to see. Sasha Banks versus Trish Stratus. I really would love to see that match happen.
They posted something about it, and it had me intrigued as to why they were posting it randomly on like a Tuesday afternoon at 1:30. Like,
Yeah. And another match I would love to see. I talked about this one last time. Would be John Cena versus Edge.
yep,
I love to see that match happen one last time. They've never had a 1-on-1 match at WrestleMania, and for the way both guys are at their stage in their careers right now, to have one last match at WrestleMania, would be oh my god, it would be such an incredible thing to see.
yeah, definitely. I'd love to see both of those matches. But we we kind of dive into what we think about WrestleMania and the Rumble on each show. Like things just come up. So there's a lot of different options, a lot of different opinions that come up about what can happen, why, and all that. And it's definitely an objective thing. And there's not a lot of room to go wrong because there's so many options. So definitely interested to see what they come up with going into WrestleMania. But that's all we have for you guys. So make sure to like and comment on this video.
Before we get off here, I want to know, because you guys asked me some questions. I want to know from you two your top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time.
Ooh, Brandon, I'll let
No
you
order.
go first.
It doesn't have to be in order. It doesn't have to
Okay.
be in order.
No
Okay,
order. Okay.
If it doesn't have to be in order, I know.
This your personal top 5 favorites. Your top 5 favorites.
All right. So gotta put our boy HBK on there for me.
Shawn Michaels, respect it.
Okay. Are we talking about like wrestling skill, like superstars, or it doesn't matter, just in general?
If your personal favorite, look, I'll give you my top 5 personal favorites. I have mine in order though, so I'll do mine in order. Number 5 is Kurt Angle. 4 is The Rock. 3 Eddie Guerrero. 2 is The Undertaker, and number 1 is John Cena.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my personal favorites. It's my favorites.
Yeah. So yeah, HBK is on there for sure. I'm gonna put Stone Cold on there.
Steve Austin, respect.
Let's see. I'm not even gonna lie to you. AJ Styles is on my list.
All right, that's cool. Respect it. AJ Styles.
But before he came to to WWE, I knew a little bit about him, not that much. Then he came in, and I thought he was like the best thing I'd ever seen.
Oh yeah, you gotta go back. I don't know if you have, but you gotta go back and watch stuff in TNA. It's
oh
TNA.
yeah, for sure.
His stuff in New Japan was great too.
Yeah.
Having Impact Plus is a big help.
Oh yeah. Let's see. That's 3 right there. So John Cena, and then the last one. Undertaker. Yeah, Undertaker.
Okay. I
Really
think I
like
have
that.
my top 5. Okay, I'm definitely gonna go Undertaker.
Undertaker.
AJ Styles is on that list. Shawn Michaels is on that list. CM Punk is on that list. And my number one, like I know this is my number one. My number one favorite wrestler of all time is Edge. So
Edge.
that
Okay.
that would be my top 5.
I like that list. I like both of you guys' lists. Edge is cool. I fucking hated Edge when I was a kid though. I couldn't stand Edge.
That's what I
He used
love
to
about him is that I used to hate him, and then
he
now
ruined my
it's
life.
like I
He
love
ruined
him.
my life at one point. I'll never forget how he made me feel when he took the title from John Cena when he cashed in Money in the Bank. I'll never forget that. The way I felt that night, I can't even describe it. I was heartbroken. I couldn't believe that even happened. Like Edge is up there though, man. I do love Edge.
Definitely.
Edge is one of my favorites. I do like Edge. I'm actually very happy that he actually had to come back and have a bit of a career. Towards the end of his 40s, so
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he gets to put on good stuff. So
Definitely. You got any other questions for us?
yeah, I just want to throw out a random question out there for you guys. You guys ask me questions. I just always like to ask people their top 5 favorites. Like who they.
Definitely.
Everybody has different. What I mean, so everybody likes different people. You know what I mean. So everybody's
Sure.
list is a lot different. Who's the wrestler that you guys hated when you were younger, like when you were a little kid?
Can tell you who
Okay,
I hate the
so
most right now. Ike and Jiro.
Who do you hate the most right now?
Ike and Jiro. Me and Brandon both.
Mm. What about you? Who were you gonna say, Brandon? You gonna say something?
yeah, so I started watching wrestling back in 2015 when I was like in third grade, and the first episode I had watched, it was the night Randy Orton came back. They had that tag match, the handicap match with Seth Rollins against
Yeah,
Reigns, and then he like destroyed him after because apparently Rollins did something to him before that.
yeah.
And yeah, I hated Seth Rollins' guts, especially when he cashed in at Mania, because like I was like brand new to it, and I was like, okay, I like this guy. This guy is really annoying. I hate him. So yeah, I hated Blonde Streak Rollins. Hated his guts. Hated
Yeah,
him.
Seth Rollins was goated, man. Seth Rollins is my second favorite wrestler in the company right now, behind Roman.
Yeah.
So Seth
Definitely.
Rollins, I love Seth Rollins, man.
I think we got some years mixed up there, but I
No,
don't
I
know.
mean,
Um,
you didn't have one wrestler you hated when you were a kid that you just hated, like you just didn't like him.
The Miz.
Ooh, the Miz is a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
I hate his face. Seeing his face on my
Yeah,
TV.
a lot of people don't like the Miz. Miz he beating up Edge right now too, so that's crazy too. But yeah, Miz is somebody. Honestly, he grew on me though. I love the Miz now. I wasn't a big fan of his at first. I used to, cause no, I was watching him when he was, calling himself the Chick Magnet. He came out with those shorts and shit, and that mohawk and everything. So Miz was like, and then when he became the WWE champion and beat Randy Orton, I didn't understand it at the time. I'm like, I don't see what Vince sees in the, like, I don't know why he's the champion. Like, why
Yeah.
is he? But I see it now though. I see what Vince saw. He was right. The Miz is really good, man. He's really good. I gotta give him credit.
I've never really I like Mike Mizanin. Mike Mizanin is probably one of my favorite non-character people. Like, how you just look at the real person. He's probably one of my favorites because his life is out
Yeah.
there. You can kind of see how good of a person he is. But
Right.
The Miz is just insufferable to watch. Like,
Yeah, the Miz will do that to you, man. That character he plays is really good, man. He knows how to be a really good bad guy. I give him that. Like, he's really good at making people dislike him,
I
which is
can
really hard
say
to
that I
do.
don't like him, but
Yeah,
that's
it's
his
really hard to do
job,
because
and he does it well.
bad guys are usually mostly liked in this era. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to be a really good bad guy and get people to really hate you.
Definitely.
It's a fact.
So, that's all we got. Make sure to like and comment on the video as well as answer the question of the day. Malik, since you're our guest, I'm gonna have you pick the question of the day for the viewers to comment with.
I can just ask any question.
Any wrestling related question, yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know people's top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. I want to
All
know your
right,
top
so
5.
Drop your top 5 favorite wrestlers down in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe, turn on the bell for all post notifications so you never miss when we upload. Follow us on Instagram at Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. It's in the corner. On Twitter at 4wall_wrestling. And on TikTok as well at Fourth Wall Wrestling Podcast. And make sure to follow Malik on TikTok as well. His stuff will be in the description below, but follow him on TikTok at NarcolepsyBoy94. You can plug any of your other platforms as well if you'd like.
This is all Narcolepsy Boy 94. Everything. If anybody wants to find my social media, it's all Narcolepsy Boy 94.
Like you said, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram.
All the same.
All right,
all the
everything,
same,
all the same at NarcolepsyBoy94. Malik, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, bro.
No problem, man. No, appreciate it. No problem.
It's a pleasure to have you. But for Malik, for Brandon, I'm Will. This was your special interview here on this Christmas Eve. So everybody, Malik, Brandon, Merry Christmas. Enjoy your Christmas. Hopefully everything goes well. And we will see you guys on Sunday for your Day 1 predictions and Breaking the Wall episode 3. Peace.